We found him, Commander. Kane's temple and base of operations. This field operative's covert transmission came to us live just 5 minutes ago, so there's no doubt that Kane's inside. He surrounded himself with his own crack militia. Getting to him won't be easy. Ironic, isn't it? Kane's planted his temple just outside of Sarajevo. If that sounds familiar, it's because that's where another madman started World War I. And here we are, trying to stop this madman from doing it again. Commander, there is to be no quarter given. No leniency in dealing with Kane and his zealots. Wipe his temple off the face of the earth. Destroy the bastard. Or prepare to die trying.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
New construction options. Reinforcements have
moving
arrived. Building. Construction complete. New construction options.
Affirmative.
Building.
Moving out.
Reinforcements have
Moving out.
arrived.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Affirmative. Reporting. Affirmative. Reporting. You got it.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Moving
Not
out.
building
Yes, sir.
captured.
Affirmative.
New construction options. Building.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. You got it. Affirmative. Roger. Reporting. Roger.
Not building captured.
Yes, sir.
New construction options.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Awaiting order. Affirmative. Moving out. Yes, sir. Affirmative. No. Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
Reporting. Moving out.
New construction options.
Reporting.
Building. Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Ready and waiting.
Cannot deploy here. Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir.
Construction complete. Building. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Unit report. Acknowledged. Vehicle reporting.
Construction complete. Building.
Reporting. You got it. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Reporting. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Unit report. Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Yes.
Insufficient funds.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes. Yes. Acknowledged. Yes.
Building.
Yes, sir. You got it. Yes, sir.
Construction complete. Ion cannon charging. New construction options. Low power.
Vehicle report. Yes, sir.
Building. Construction complete.
Waiting order. Acknowledged.
Building.
Ready and waiting. You got it. Moving out.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Building.
Yes. Moving out.
Construction complete.
Vehicle reporting out.
Construction complete. Building.
Yes. Yes, sir. Moving out. Waiting order. Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Ready, sir. You got it. Got it. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Moving out. Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Unit reporting. Acknowledged.
New construction options. Building.
Yes. Moving out. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Acknowledged. Yes, acknowledged.
Building. Construction
Yes, sir.
complete.
Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes. Yes.
Construction complete. New construction options.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Building. Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Building. Building.
Yes. 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 Acknowledged.
Insufficient funds. Construction complete.
Unit moving out.
Construction complete. Unit lost. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Moving out. Vehicle reporting.
Construction complete.
Affirmative.
Building. Construction complete. Building. Construction complete. Building.
Unit. Yes, sir.
Construction complete. View construction options. Building.
Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Reporting. You got it. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Moving out.
Ion cannon ready.
Reporting. You got it. Yes, sir. Moving out.
Cannot deploy here. Building. Building. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready. Unit ready. Building. Unit lost. Unit ready.
Moving out.
Building.
Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Honey. Ready and waiting.
Construction complete.
Ready and waiting.
Building.
Honey. Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Construction complete. Building.
Reporting. Affirmative. Unit reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Waiting orders. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Reporting. Roger. Affirmative. Waiting orders. Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Moving out.
Construction complete. Building.
Acknowledged. Moving out. Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Waiting orders.
Unit ready. Building. Insufficient funds.
Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Roger.
Building.
Reporting. Affirmative.
Unit ready.
Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Ready and waiting. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Unit reporting. Moving out.
Building.
Unit reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
Construction complete. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. No.
Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out.
Construction complete.
Unit report. Acknowledged. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Building.
Yes, sir. Ready.
Unit lost.
No. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Building. Construction complete. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit ready.
Moving out. Moving out. Moving out.
Construction
Waiting order.
complete.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Building.
Waiting order. Moving out. Yes, sir. Unit reporting. Yes, sir.
Unit ready. Building.
Unit reporting. Moving out.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Insufficient
Yes,
funds.
sir. Affirmative. Affirmative. Reporting. Moving out.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Reporting. You got it. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Unit report. Acknowledged. Moving out. Reporting. Moving out. Ready and waiting. You got it. Acknowledged.
Nod building
Roger.
captured.
Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Nod building captured. New construction options.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Waiting orders. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledged. Unit report. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Waiting. You got it. You got it. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Acknowledged.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Construction complete. Building.
Affirmative.
Building. Reinforcements have arrived. Unit ready. Building. Unit ready.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Moving out.
Building.
Moving out.
Construction complete.
Moving out.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit ready.
Waiting for knowledge.
Unit
Yes,
lost.
sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Building. Our base is under attack.
Unit
Construction
reporting. Yes,
complete. Building. Reinforcements have arrived.
yes, sir.
Building. Construction complete.
Yes, sir.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Building. Nuclear weapon launched.
Yes, sir.
Reinforcements have arrived. Our base is under attack. Nuclear warhead approaching. Unit lost. Construction complete. Building.
Reporting.
Reinforcements have
Right
arrived.
away, sir.
Unit ready. Building.
Reporting. You got it.
Unit ready.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Building.
Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir.
Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Acknowledge.
Unable to comply. Building in progress. Unit lost. Unit ready. Building.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge.
Unit lost. Unit ready.
Acknowledge.
Building. Unit lost. On hold.
Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Cancelled. Building.
Yes, sir. Moving out.
Unit lost.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Construction complete. Building.
Unit reporting. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Unit lost.
Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete. Building.
Unit reporting. Moving out. Waiting orders. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Waiting orders. Acknowledge. Yes, sir.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting.
Airstrike ready.
Affirmative. Yes, sir. Right away, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir.
Unit
Affirmative.
lost.
Acknowledge. Affirmative.
Nod building captured.
Vehicle reporting. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Affirmative. Moving out.
Unit
Yes.
lost.
Unit report. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You've got it.
Building.
You've got it. You've got it. Yes, sir. Affirmative.
Construction complete.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Reporting.
Reinforcements have arrived.
Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Vehicle reporting. Yes, Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Waiting order. Roger. Waiting order. Roger. Unit report. Acknowledge. Unit report. Yes, sir.
Nod
Unit
building
report.
captured.
Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Unit report. Yes, sir. Unit report. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Vehicle reporting. Moving out. Unit reporting. Yes, sir. Ready and waiting. Yes, sir. Unit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Roger. Reporting. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Moving out. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Unit moving out. Yes, sir. Acknowledge. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Acknowledged. Moving out. Acknowledged. Affirmative. Affirmative.
Select target.
Unit reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Moving out. Yes, sir. Awaiting order. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Vehicle moving out. Unit reporting. Vehicle reporting. Affirmative. Yes, sir. Affirmative. Vehicle reporting.
Nuclear weapon
Acknowledged.
launched. Nuclear warhead approaching. Our base is under attack. Select target. Mission accomplished.
I taken serious. The temple's been blown all to hell. We need to get out of here before...
Sir, topside has suffered significant damage. Structural integrity has been compromised. I estimate GDI will have access to this command center in approximately 20 minutes.
United Nations spokesmen have confirmed that massive destruction to the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the world terrorist organization known as the Brotherhood of Nod was the direct result of an orbiting satellite weapon described by officials as an ion cannon. Destruction of the site ended a 3-day siege, which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that the skirmish may have continued for weeks had it not been for the awesome offensive power of the satellite-based air-to-land cannon. Quoting from a prepared statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti confirmed that heavy casualties were sustained by Nod forces. However, the use of the Star Wars technology cut GDI and civilian losses to, quote, technically acceptable levels, unquote. Contradicting earlier UN Security Council denials, Dr. Olivetti confirmed that the ion cannon has, in fact, been under development for several years. Discovery and destruction of the Nod Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence sparked by that organization's
Speed? Nowhere near. Nowhere near. Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod. This ends a 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that, although evenly matched, the GDI forces employed superior tactics and strategy, outmaneuvering Nod in what was termed an epic battle. Quoting from a written statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti praised the men and women of the UN-funded GDI, calling them, quote, tireless defenders of freedom and heroes to history, unquote. Although refusing to disclose specific totals, Dr. Olivetti confirmed reports that heavy casualties were sustained by both sides. Kane, the single-named charismatic Nod leader and self-proclaimed prophet, is among those missing and assumed dead. Discovery and destruction of the Nod Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence, sparked by that organization's international terrorist activities. World reaction has been mixed. Slavic Prime Minister Yuri Kolenko denied accusations of Nod allegiance, but called the GDI siege, quote, cruel and barbaric, a slaughter, an elephant moving to crush a flea, unquote. Japanese President Shoji Kanazawa supported the action, calling the GDI assault extremely well calculated and, quote, a joyous victory for freedom-loving people everywhere, unquote. In a special closed-door session tomorrow, the United Nations is expected to vote on a proposal to establish permanent funding for the Global Defense Initiative, as well as a continued aid embargo of all nations on record as sympathetic to the Nod cause. Meanwhile, Nod supporters are expected to call for sanctions against the organization, arguing for a temporary ban on all military activities until a full investigation has been completed. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Exchange reported the leading industrial index was down 142 points as a result of continuing dollar-to-yen battles in the international currencies market. Declines led advances by a margin of 3-1 as investors reacted to overseas trade limits and sharp decreases in mineral exports.
Speed.
News finale, scene 2, take 1.
Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations spokesmen have confirmed that massive destruction to the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the world terrorist organization known as the Brotherhood of Nod was the direct result of an orbiting satellite weapon described by officials as an ion cannon. Destruction of the site ended a 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that the skirmish may have continued for weeks had it not been for the awesome offensive power of the satellite-based air-to-land cannon. Quoting from a prepared statement issued earlier today,
Cut. Speed.
Scene 2, take 2.
Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations spokesmen have confirmed that massive destruction to the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the world terrorist organization known as the Brotherhood of Nod was the direct result of an orbiting satellite weapon described by officials as an ion cannon. Destruction of the site ended a 3-day siege which saw GDI and NOD forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that the skirmish may have continued for weeks had it not been for the awesome offensive power of the satellite-based air-to-land cannon. Quoting from a prepared statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti confirmed that heavy casualties were sustained by NOD forces. However, the use of the Star Wars technology cut GDI and civilian losses to, quote, technically acceptable levels, unquote. Contradicting earlier UN Security Council denials, Dr. Olivetti confirmed that the ion cannon has, in fact, been under development for several years. Discovery and destruction of the NOD Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence sparked by that organization's international terrorist activities. Spokesmen for the NOD Consortium were unavailable for comment, but continuing reports indicate that Kane, the single-named charismatic NOD leader and self-proclaimed prophet, is among those missing and assumed dead. World reaction to this heightened escalation of warfare technology has been mixed. Slavic Prime Minister Yuri Kalenkov denied accusations of NOD allegiance, but called use of the GDI weapon, quote, cruel and barbaric, a slaughter, an elephant moving to crush a flea, unquote. Japanese President Shoji Kanazawa supported the action, calling the GDI assault extremely well calculated and, quote, a joyous victory for freedom-loving people everywhere, unquote. In a special closed session tomorrow, the United Nations is expected to vote on a proposal to establish permanent funding for the Global Defense Initiative, as well as a continued aid embargo of all nations on record as sympathetic to the NOD cause. Meanwhile, NOD supporters are expected to call for sanctions against the organization, arguing for a temporary ban on all future use of the cataclysmic laser weapon. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Exchange reported the leading industrial index up 240 points as a result of continuing investment in the international technologies market. Advances led declines by a margin of 4-1 as investors reacted to recent offerings in aerospace, computer, and optical technologies.
Okay. Speed.
Scene 2, take 3.
Take 3, but not her fault. Just for the record. Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations spokesmen have confirmed that massive destruction to the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the world terrorist organization known as the Brotherhood of NOD was the direct result of an orbiting satellite weapon described by officials as an ion cannon. Destruction of the site ended a 3-day siege which saw GDI and NOD forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that the skirmish may have continued for weeks had it not been for the awesome offensive power of the satellite-based air-to-land cannon. Quoting from a prepared statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti confirmed that heavy casualties were sustained by NOD forces. However, the use of the Star Wars technology cut GDI and civilian losses to, quote, technically acceptable levels, unquote. Contradicting earlier UN Security Council denials, Dr. Olivetti confirmed that the ion cannon has, in fact, been under development for several years. Discovery and destruction of the NOD Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence sparked by that organization's international terrorist activities. Spokesmen for the NOD Consortium were unavailable for comment, but continuing reports indicate that Kane, the single-named charismatic NOD leader, and self-proclaimed prophet is among those missing and assumed dead. World reaction to this heightened escalation of warfare technology has been mixed. Slavic Prime Minister Yuri Kalenkov denied accusations of non-allegiance, but called use of the GDI weapon, quote, cruel and barbaric, a slaughter, an elephant moving to crush a flea, unquote. Japanese President Shoji Kanazawa supported the action, calling the GDI assault extremely well calculated and, quote, a joyous victory for freedom-loving people everywhere, unquote. In a special closed session tomorrow, the United Nations is expected to vote on a proposal to establish permanent funding for the Global Defense Initiative, as well as a continued aid embargo of all nations on record as sympathetic to the NOD cause. Meanwhile, NOD supporters are expected to call for sanctions against the organization, arguing for a temporary ban on all future use of the cataclysmic laser weapon. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Exchange reported the leading industrial index up 240 points as a result of continuing investment in the international technologies market. Advances led declines by a margin of 4-1 as investors reacted to recent offerings in aerospace, computer, and optical technologies.
Steve, I was wondering. Nice to you. Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations spokesmen have confirmed that massive destruction to the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the World Terrorist Organization known as the Brotherhood of Nod was the direct result of an orbiting satellite weapon described by officials as an ion cannon. Destruction of the site ended a 3-day siege, which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that the skirmish may have continued for weeks had it not been for the awesome offensive power of the satellite-based air-to-land cannon. Quoting from a prepared statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti confirmed that heavy casualties were sustained by Nod forces. However, the use of the Star Wars technology cut GDI and civilian losses to, quote, technically acceptable levels, unquote. Contradicting earlier UN Security Council denials, Dr. Olivetti confirmed that the ion cannon has, in fact, been under development for several years. Discovery and destruction of the Nod Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence sparked by that organization's international terrorist activities. Spokesmen for the Nod Consortium were unavailable for comment, but continuing reports indicate that Kane, the single-named charismatic Nod leader and self-proclaimed prophet, is among those missing and assumed dead. World reaction to this heightened escalation of warfare technology has been mixed. Slavic Prime Minister Yuri Kalenkov denied accusations of non-allegiance, but called the use of the GDI weapon, quote, cruel and barbaric, a slaughter, an elephant moving to crush a flea, unquote. Japanese President Shoji Kanazawa supported the action, calling the GDI assault extremely well calculated and, quote, a joyous victory for freedom-loving people everywhere, unquote. In a special closed session tomorrow, the United Nations is expected to vote on a proposal to establish permanent funding for the Global Defense Initiative, as well as a continued aid embargo of all nations on record as sympathetic to the NOD cause. Meanwhile, NOD supporters are expected to call for sanctions against the organization, arguing for a temporary ban on all future use of the cataclysmic laser weapon. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Exchange reported the leading industrial index up 240 points as a result of optical technologies.
Cut.
Who's finale? C1?
And action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod, ending the 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat.
Let's cut there. Speed.
C1.
Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod, ending the 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that, although evenly matched, the GDI forces employed superior tactics and strategy, outmaneuvering Nod in what
It's okay, don't worry about it. It's very thick, I know. Speed.
C1.
Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged...
Cut. And you were great. Speed.
C1.
Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod, ending the 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat.
Well, I have to cut. Speed.
C1.
I won't even tell you what the record is. Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod. This ends a 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that, although evenly matched, the GDI forces employed superior tactics and strategy, outmaneuvering Nod in what was termed an epic battle. Quoting from a written statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti praised the men and women of
Speed.
C1 takes up.
Oh, that's a nice space. Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod. This ends a 3-day siege which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that, although evenly matched, the GDI forces employed superior tactics and strategy, outmaneuvering Nod in what was termed an epic battle.
Roll time.
Speed.
C1 take.
Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod. This ends a 3-day siege, which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that, although evenly matched, the GDI forces employed superior tactics and strategy of maneuvering Nod in what was termed an epic battle. Quoting from a written statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti praised the men and women of the UN-funded GDI, calling them, quote, tireless defenders of freedom and heroes to history, unquote. Although refusing to disclose specific totals, Dr. Olivetti confirmed reports that heavy casualties were sustained by both sides. Kane, the single-named charismatic Nod leader and self-proclaimed prophet, is among those missing and assumed dead. Discovery and destruction of the Nod Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence, sparked by that organization's international terrorist activities. World reaction has been mixed. Slavic Prime Minister Yuri Kolekov denied accusations of Nod allegiance, but called the GDI siege, quote, cruel and barbaric, a slaughter, an elephant moving to crush a flea, unquote. Japanese President Shoji Kanazawa supported the action, calling the GDI assault extremely well calculated and, quote, a joyous victory for freedom-loving people everywhere, unquote. In a special closed-door session tomorrow, the United Nations is expected to vote on a proposal to establish permanent funding for the Global Defense Initiative, as well as a continued aid embargo of all nations on record as sympathetic to the Nod cause. Meanwhile, Nod supporters are expected to call for sanctions against the organization, arguing for a temporary ban on all military activities until a full investigation has been completed. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Exchange reported the leading industrial index was down 142 points as a result of continuing dollar-to-yen battles in the international currencies market. Declines led advances by a margin of 3-1 as investors reacted to overseas trade and limits and sharp decreases in mineral exports. Will I be totally phased out by then?
Speed?
Scene 1, take that.
Nowhere near the record. Nowhere near the record. Action.
Good evening. At the top of the news tonight, United Nations officials have confirmed that Global Defense Initiative assault troops successfully attacked and destroyed the alleged Sarajevo headquarters of the Brotherhood of Nod. This ends a 3-day siege, which saw GDI and Nod forces engaged in mortal combat. Eyewitnesses and survivors report that, although evenly matched, the GDI forces employed superior tactics and strategy, outmaneuvering Nod in what was termed an epic battle. Quoting from a written statement issued earlier today, UN Secretary of Defense Dr. Charles Olivetti praised the men and women of the UN-funded GDI, calling them, quote, tireless defenders of freedom and heroes to history, unquote. Although refusing to disclose specific totals, Dr. Olivetti confirmed reports that heavy casualties were sustained by both sides. Kane, the single-named charismatic Nod leader and self-proclaimed prophet, is among those missing and assumed dead. Discovery and destruction of the Nod Command Center ends more than 3 years of continued escalating violence, sparked by that organization's international terrorist activities. World reaction has been mixed. Slavic Prime Minister Yuri Kolekov denied accusations of Nod allegiance, but called the GDI siege, quote, cruel and barbaric, a slaughter, an elephant moving to crush a flea, unquote. Japanese President Shoji Kanazawa supported the action, calling the GDI assault extremely well calculated and, quote, a joyous victory for freedom-loving people everywhere, unquote. In a special closed-door session tomorrow, the United Nations is expected to vote on a proposal to establish permanent funding for the Global Defense Initiative, as well as a continued aid embargo on all nations on record as sympathetic to the NOD cause. Meanwhile, NOD supporters are expected to call for sanctions against the organization, arguing for a temporary ban on all military activities until a full investigation has been completed. On Wall Street today, the Dow Jones Exchange reported the leading industrial index was down 142 points as a result of continuing dollar-to-yen battles in the international currencies market. Declines led advances by a margin of 3-1 as investors reacted to overseas trade limits and sharp decreases in mineral exports.
Cut. Please, tell me.
Can you